Get us started here. Okay, guys. So we are going to start with your 2 yoga tune-up balls. They're going to be outside of your tote. We'll be placing the balls one on each cheek, and you're going to be laying down for this. So go ahead and come to lie down on your back. Lift your glutes. Go ahead and place your body on top of those balls. So the first thing we're going to do is just stay here, catch our breath, start to tune in. Whatever's comfortable with your arms, you can lay them down to your side. They can be on top of your belly. So if you are just joining us, we're using our 2 yoga tune-up balls. Going to be on your back, one ball under each glute. And we're just starting to check in with our body. Start to notice your breath. And whatever's comfortable with the hands, maybe lay down alongside the body. If it's helpful for you to check in with your breath by placing your hands on your body, maybe both hands on your belly, or maybe one on your belly and one on your chest. Or if you are just joining us, so go ahead and come to lie down on your back. All right. If again, you're just joining us, we've got one ball on each glute. And now we'll all place the soles of our feet together and the knees will come out wide. If that does not work for you for some reason, if your hips don't like it or your back doesn't like it, knees don't like it, you can either not do the butterfly legs, or some of you, it might be helpful to support with a couple of blocks. But if it's possible in your body, you've got one ball on each glute. The legs are in a butterfly, we call it butterfly kind of position. Soles of the feet together, knees out wide. And again, if this does not work for you for some reason, you could try supporting with blocks, or maybe you just leave the soles of the feet on the earth. All right, we're going to be doing a contract of those glutes and then a release. So if your soles of your feet are together, leave them there. If the feet are on the floor, you'll leave them there. So squeezing the glutes tight, tighten, tighten, tighten. You're breathing in, and then you'll exhale and soften the glutes. And again, you're either in a butterfly position with those legs, or the soles of the feet are on the earth. Either way, we go ahead and squeeze the glute tight again. Tighten, tighten with a breath in, and then relax, soften. Let the balls melt a little deeper into your glute. And continue just like that. Squeeze those glutes, tighten, tighten. And exhale, soften. Just one more time, squeeze those glutes tight. And then relax, soften, soften, soften. Now you can leave the feet as they are and the knees out as they are, or if that's starting to be uncomfortable, you can put the soles of the feet on the earth, but you're going to start to shimmy your hips left and right now. The knees are out wide, or soles of the feet are on the earth, and the hips move side to side. And for me, very oftentimes now the balls start to walk themselves off my body. So I'll just lift back up, place them back there, and we start to move side to side again. Either soles of the feet together or knees out wide, whichever serves you best. just a couple more shimmies left and right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and lift up, remove the balls, set your feet wide as your mat. If your knees are not already pointed towards the ceiling, go ahead and point them towards the ceiling. And then we're going to rock our knees left and right, side to side with those knees. Nice and slow, back and forth and back and forth. Breathing all the while as you transition back and forth. All right, good. So now we'll go ahead and take your two balls and they're going to be going just on one side of the body. So one is going to go, so they'll both go on the right side. One is going to go on the very top part of your glutes. The other one goes on the very bottom of your lower spine. So it's, or to the right of your spine, not on top of the spine. So it's to the right of the spine and above the hip bone, just straddling that hip bone. Okay. So anywhere on the right side to the right of the spine, and you're going to go ahead and shimmy left and right with those balls again, both on the right side. And we'll shift left and right here. So you'll notice there's some pressure on the highest part of your glutes, and there's some pressure on the lowest part of your lumbar, lower back. So what we're going to do here is play with some flexion and extension. So you can just take a peek at me when I show you in a kind of a seated position. You're going to stay down, or a kneeling position. Flexion is a tuck under. Extension looks like this. So you can play with some flexion and shimmy left and right. And then you can play with some extension and shimmy left and right. If either of those do not work for you for any reason, then you just keep a neutral spine or just do what does work for you. So we'll go ahead and shimmy left and right, left and right. And again, you're either an extension or flexion or a neutral spine. And make a good choice here. Good. Couple more times shimmying left and right. And then we'll lift up and let's move the balls to the left side. So placing the balls there. And then again, shimmying left and right with your body. And the balls will travel across your hip bone on that left side. And then again, you can play with extension, which looks like this. And again, you'll be laying down, not on your knees, or flexion, which looks like this. Okay. So flexion or extension, if either does not work for you, then of course you don't do that. So it definitely changes what's happening. It definitely will shift where the pressure is in your body. So make sure that you're choosing wisely. Always remember, most importantly, you're going to feel some pressure, but it should never be a situation where you're coming into like a fight or flight state. It should never get to the point where you are coming into a place where you cannot take a deep breath. Yeah. And a couple more times side to side. All right. So we're going to go back to the right side now. Those balls are going to move up from where they were. So they were right at the hip bone, so one above and one below. Now they're going to go up. So this is called your quadratus lumborum. Okay, so we are definitely to the right of the spine. Make sure you're not right next to the spine here. We're not tapping into the QL, quadratus lumborum, if you're right next to the spine. So to the right of the spine, the balls are stacked again, and it's on the right side. So once you get the balls placed, we're going to go ahead and let the knees rock to the right and come back to center. Now, again, if you're in flexion, you'll feel some pressure and it might be fine. If you're in extension, that's letting those hips come away from you. Maybe even the tailbone is on the earth or glutes are on the earth. That can be a lot more. So please be careful. So the knees rock to the right, they come back to center. And if it's too much an extension, lift your booty off the ground and continue to the right and center, the right and center. So anywhere on the right side of that back. So you might play with, maybe one ball is actually still touching that hip bone. Maybe they're higher than that. Right now, I'm a little bit, maybe about an inch above my right hip bone with the bottom ball. You can also play with how wide your feet are. So if my feet are a little bit closer together, it does change what I'm experiencing. If my feet are farther apart, that changes things. If I just let the right knee go out and in, that's less pressure. A few more times, rocking to the right and to center and to the right and to center. If your hips are touching the ground, go ahead and lift them up now. So a bit of flexion. And you're going to shimmy those hips left and right again. So the balls will travel side to side across just the right side. We're not crossing the spine, just the right side. And it's your quadratus lumborum. If you're familiar with the anatomy, that's where you're working. So back and forth here. All right, so we are going to remove one ball. Okay, don't want to go too far away or roll away from you, but you're going to remove one ball, place that one back, and you'll find a good place for it. Rear end comes back to the ground, and you're going to pull your right knee into your chest. Okay, so you can play with where that ball should be. There's going to be a place where it feels like, oh, it's doing something, but it's not too much. The closer you pull the right knee in, the more pressure you're going to have. Okay, you can hold the shin or perhaps the back of the leg, and then you can start to move that leg around. Okay, so I'm letting the knee go out, coming across, I'm moving it closer to my body, and then away. I could also play with, maybe I like this left leg extended. What does that feel like? A few more breaths here. Maybe you just hold for a breath or two. All right. So if your left leg was extended, go ahead and rebend it. Put your right foot on the ground, lift your hips, remove the ball. Go ahead and take your feet wide and TP your knees towards each other and take a nice big belly breath. Exhaling completely. And then again, breathe in and breathe out. Good. All right, guys, we're going to move to our second side. So 2 balls to start. And again, we're on the QL, quadratus lumborum. So you're not right next to the spine. You're definitely an inch or 2 away from the spine to the left. And then we'll go ahead and lay on those balls. And then you will decide, do you want your hip, your rear end to touch the ground? Or do you want to come into flexion? Either way, the knees rock to the left and to center. And keep playing with those balls. Maybe they need to go up or down. If this is making it so you cannot take a deep breath, you know you need to back it off a little bit. Now, how can you do that? Well, you could move the balls to a slightly different location, so up or down or left or right. Remember, I mentioned the wider the feet, it does change it. There's a little less pressure. The wider the feet are, there's less pressure. If you just let one knee go out and in, there will be less pressure. If no matter what you're doing, it's too much, even holding still, it's too much, you might want to give yourself more cushion, put another mat down, move on to carpet, or you could also take this to the wall, and that's going to be less pressure. And you probably just hang out here if you're doing it at the wall and eventually move side to side, which we are going to do on the floor anyway. So you take care of you and give yourself the amount of pressure, the intensity that's appropriate for you. Should be interesting. You should be feeling something, but not gritting your teeth. No tears should be flowing from pain. Now, you could have tears start to flow because we do hold emotion in our bodies, our physical bodies. So sometimes we tap into that when we're releasing our fascia. Trauma does get trapped in our bodies. And you know that because I'm pretty certain every one of you has thought of a situation, or sometimes it's a person, and you feel something in your body shift. Maybe it's your neck or your back or your elbows even. Something could start to tense up on you when you think about something that might be a trauma. All right. So we're going to go ahead and remove one of those balls, place the other one somewhere around that same area, and then you'll pull the left knee in. And again, this can be a lot, so find a place where it's okay. Maybe a little wider, maybe a little up, maybe a little down. You can see I'm kind of moving around, trying to find the right place for me. You can grab the knee or the shin, or maybe it's the back of the leg. The closer that thigh is to you, the more you're likely to feel. And then you could start to move around. Maybe the right leg goes out, an option. Doesn't feel good in your back, don't do that. Let's take 5 more big breaths. You guys look good. All right, good, good. So we'll go ahead and remove the ball, set it off to the side. Once again, we go ahead and step your feet out wide, TP the knees in towards each other. Take a big belly breath. And then we'll go ahead and roll onto your right side. You may want a couple of blocks for some support. So I like a block under my head and I like a block between my knees. And that's just for some support for my back. If you don't need it, you don't have to do either of those. The right arm will be extended out in front of your chest. And then we're going to start to sweep this left arm like a half circle, maybe a little more than a half circle, up and over the head. Sweep it down towards your hips, and then it circles back around. And maybe you tap your knees. And up and around we go. And circle it back. And you can breathe while you do this. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale, bring it forwards again. Inhale, up and around. And exhale, we bring it back. And one more time, inhale, circle it up and around. And then the left arm will stay back if that feels good for you. If it does not, you can change the angle. Maybe more of a diagonal is appropriate. Or if that's not working on your shoulder at all, you can lay your left hand on top of your left ribs and just let that left shoulder melt back. Take 5 big breaths. And then begin to roll on your side. And then you'll transition to your second side slowly. If you need to pause in the middle and just lay down on your back for a moment, that's absolutely fine. When you're ready, we'll switch sides. Laying on the left side, the left arm is extended out in front of you. And then the right arm starts to sweep around. And we bring it back. And sweep it around, breathing in and breathing out as you bring it back. Inhaling, sweeping it back. Exhale, we bring it back. That's 2 more times and then we'll stay. This is 1. Bring it back. And this is 2. And we stay. Remember, if it doesn't work for your arm to be directly behind you, perhaps a diagonal, or maybe that right hand lands on your right rib cage and you just let the right shoulder melt back. And one more big breath in. And a long breath out. All right, we're going to roll back onto your side once again. You can remove those blocks. We're going to go ahead and take a single ball, and we'll be using that now just on the right glute. We're doing a lot of hip and back work today. You'll lift your hips, place the ball under your right glute only. And then from here, you'll let that right knee clamshell out, knee falls out and in, out and in. You might decide to let both knees fall out and in. A little bit more pressure. So it's one or both knees. And remember, depending on how wide your feet are, will also determine what it feels like. Those are pretty close. That's a lot more pressure. they're farther away, the feet. It'll be a little less. If it's just one knee going out and in, you might feel a little bit less. If you're not feeling enough, maybe move the ball to another location. All right, so right knee points out. You'll shimmy your hip side to side. Some of you might cross your right ankle over your left thigh. It's not available for you. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Now, if you're going along here thinking, well, this is good, but I could use more, then you could come up onto your right forearm or even onto both hands. Shimmy side to side. If you're up on your hands, you can start to do some circles or go up and down. We have about 5 more breaths here. So do what serves you best. Maybe you go back to some of the knees going out and in. Maybe you kind of do a bicycling out kind of maneuver with your right leg called pinning and stretching. So we pin the ball in a location and move the leg. You might come up with something else entirely that's really working for you. After your next breath, if you're sitting up, go ahead and lay back down. Remove the ball. And if it's available for you, you'll cross your right ankle over your left thigh. And we're going to rock the knees side to side. If it is not available for you to do this, you'll just windshield wiper the knees back and forth with both feet on the floor. Ankle crossed over if possible. If not, both feet are on the floor, side to side. Now, if your ankle is crossed, go ahead and cross your legs even more. So I call this kind of crossing your legs like you're wearing a skirt. And rock the knees back and forth again. Eventually, either your legs are crossed like this or they're not. If they're not, that's fine. Both feet stay on the floor. But if your legs are crossed, you're going to let those knees fall all the way to the left and you're going to stay here. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Your legs are crossed. It looks like this. Okay. If you need less, maybe you put a block underneath you for a little more support. Okay. If your legs are not crossed, you'll let both knees fall and you're going to stay right there. Feet are kind of wide. All right. Regardless of whether your legs are crossed or not, left arm is reaching out. You're going to reach the right hand to the left hand, reach past your fingertips, and then slide open. So you're either feet on the ground wide and the knees are tipped to the left, or your legs are crossed and the legs are to the left. Right hand to left hand again, reach and slide it open. And again, right hand and slide across your body, reach and slide yourself open. And again. If your legs are not crossed, it looks like this. One more time. And then let's stay for a couple of big breaths in and out. Legs crossed or not crossed, your choice, whatever serves you. All right, we'll come back to center. Unwind the legs if they are crossed. Let's just come here, laying here, taking a couple of deep breaths. You could TP the knees in, that nice relaxation position for the lower back. And let it go completely. All right. So we're going to go back to a rolling out of now the left glute, the one ball, lift your hip, and your options. Left knee only goes out and in. Both knees fall to the left and bring them up. Feet can be wide or narrow, depending on what you need. Feet closer together, it's a lot more pressure. Keep moving the ball around if you're not really getting what you need. Maybe you need to move the ball out or up or down. Good. A few more times, rocking side to side, to the left and then center, to the left and center. And then option left knee out and you shimmy, shimmy, or left ankle over right thigh, shimmy, shimmy, side to side. No worries if the ankle doesn't cross. It will get there someday. Side to side with those hips. Check in. If it's not enough for you, perhaps you come up on your forearm or even your hand. Good. You guys look good. And you could bicycle out that left leg in that ball and then bicycle it out. Good. And take 5 more breaths. Do what you need. If it's too much, remember you could always take your ball to the wall. That's another option for you. A lot less pressure, obviously, if we're standing up. We're not putting all of our body weight on there for standing. Good job. And just a couple more of those big breaths. Okay, good. All right, so go ahead and set that off to the side. And then once again, we'll either cross the ankle over the thigh if that works for you. The ball is no longer underneath you, or your feet stay wide. Either way, rocking the knees side to side. And then if your legs are crossed, cross them more. Again, I like to say like you're sitting with a skirt on, and you can rock those knees side to side again. No worries if you've got your feet, both of them on the ground. You just keep doing the same thing. Eventually, whether your feet are on the floor, the legs are crossed, the knees fall all the way to the right. And then we'll bring our left hand to meet our right hand, reach past the fingertips and slide it open, reach. And once again, past the fingertips, slide it open. Good. And one more time, slide it open. And then we'll pause. Deep breathing. Couple more big breaths. All right. We'll go ahead and unwind everything. Come onto your back once again. Feet wide, teepee the knees in, nice big belly breath. And let it go. All right, good. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way up. We'll place the balls back inside their toes. And we'll be working the front of your right thigh next with the balls. So make sure you lock your bag, your tote down, that the balls don't escape. And then we'll lay on the belly, placing the balls right above your right knee. And the first thing we'll actually do here is lay all the way down on your belly and then bend and straighten the leg. Bend and straighten the leg. And then extend the leg out straight and shimmy your leg side to side. The balls travel a little left and right, a little cross fiber work right above the knee on your lowest part of your quadricep. Good. You can come onto your forearms and then move that left leg out for some support, and you're going to roll that area out. So just maybe 4 to 6 inches above the knee, rolling up and down right to the knee, and then up from there, maybe 4 to 6 inches. All right, so we're going to transition now. The balls will be in the middle of your thigh. Go ahead and lay all the way down on your belly again. Bend and straighten the leg. Bend and straighten the leg. Now, the more you kind of lean over to the right, the more pressure there's going to be. If you lean a little bit away from the balls, so lean a little left, a little less pressure. If none of this is working, you could, again, move on to carpet or double or triple up your mat. And last but not least, you could use the balls more like a rolling pin on your thigh if it's just way too much. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment by that. Right now, if you're still on your belly, shimmy that leg left to right. It's straight right now. What I meant by rolling it out like a rolling pin is like this. So you just roll the balls out like on top of the thigh, like a rolling pin. So again, if you're just really having a hard time, it's just really uncomfortable, don't be afraid to do that. All right, so now we'll come on to the forearms and rolling up and down, just basically the middle of your thigh now, basically the middle area. Okay, we'll transition up now to the highest part of your quadricep, even where it attaches up into your hip flexor area. So we'll lay down again, bend and straighten the leg. A little shimmy of that leg side to side. And then this time when you're up here, way up by that hip flexor area, bend your knee and then windshield wiper your right leg. So go side to side. And then we can roll it out. You can even lean a little bit to the right, a little bit coming back to center, maybe a little bit to the right again, and back to center, just getting all of that hip flexor area and the upper part of your quadricep. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and come off of those balls, and just to let our backs rest for a moment, coming back into either a child's pose surrounding the spine or a rounded cat posture and pushing away, so we're getting a little flexion in the lower back. And then if you're in child's pose, come to all fours. If you're in cat, you'll just right away transition now into a sway back cow pose. And then we round again and we go back and forth. Extend, flex, extend, and flex. Good. All right, we're gonna transition to our second side. So we've got the balls right above the knee. And we'll start laying on our bellies. Bend and straighten, and bend and straighten. And then you can shimmy the legs side to side. So it's straight when you're doing that. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and roll up and down a little bit now. So we've got our 4 to 6 inches above the knee. All right, let's transition to the middle of the thigh now. And we'll lay down and we'll bend and straighten and bend and straighten. Good. And then we'll shimmy that leg side to side. Okay, let's move up and down and up and down. Right in the middle of that leg. Keep the belly a little bit tight so you don't hurt your lower back. And remember, you could sit and use these balls like a rolling pin if that's a better choice. Okay, one more little notch up. We're way up by the top of the leg, tapping into the hip flexor. And we'll bend and straighten. Bend and straighten the leg. And a little shimmy, shimmy, back and forth with a straight leg. Good. And then we are going to do that one again where the knee is bent and then just a little windshield wiper of the leg side to side. Last little bit here, we'll roll it out. You can lean a little more to the left. You'll tap into the tensor fascia lata, TFL. Roll back towards the center of your upper thigh, hip flexor area. You're starting to feel it in your back. Make sure you're keeping a little bit of integrity of the core. All right, good. So from there, we'll go ahead and come onto the knees again. Go ahead and place your forearms on the ground. Hips a little closer to the heels. Round the spine and extend the spine here in this version of cat-cow on your elbows or forearms. Good. Okay, good, good. Back onto hands and knees. Now you're gonna wag your tail. So your hips shift left and right and left and right. And you'll feel a little stretching on the side of your hip and the side body if you go far enough. Moving those hips side to side like a dog wagging its tail. Couple more. All right, good. So for the next one, you may need a little extra cushion for your knee. You may not. You could, for extra cushion, just fold your mat up. So then you've got a little extra cushion here. So what we're going to be doing is stepping the left foot forward. The right knee is down. And it's a pretty short stride here. Okay, so that's where we are. We're going to do a little pelvic tilt, tuck under. So already you may feel this hip flexor stretching. So when we do this, we're not dumping, we're not sinking. In fact, as we lengthen this right hip flexor, we want to get taller through the crown of the head. Squeeze your right glute tight. That's going to help you balance. I like to place my left hand on my inner left knee so this leg stays pointed forward and doesn't start caving in. Reach the right arm up. You might feel even more in this right hip flexor now. Turn a little to the right, lean up and over to the left. So we're not dumping to the left, we're getting length up and over. So think of getting longer and longer and longer through the side body here. Lift up and out of that, and we will switch sides. Left knee down, right foot steps forward. Tuck, squeeze your glute. You can place your right hand on this inner right thigh or knee to help stabilize you. Left arm, reach it up, turn a little to the left, go up and over to the right. Left hip flexor getting nice and long here. Good, and release. All right. So you're gonna come to lie down now on your right side. So from here, you may decide you want a block in front of you for support for one of your legs. You may end up needing a strap. So I'll show you all of these options. You'll be on your right side. Let me move this for now so you can see. The left leg comes forward. It can be bent or it can be straight. It's your choice. It could be supported. It could not be supported. It's your choice. We're going to reach around and catch the right foot. If you can't reach it, that means you probably need to use a strap, which is fine. If you've got ones with hooks in them, you can hook your foot in there, just wrap it around. So we're stretching the front of your right thigh. And then this one, again, could be supported. And then you can start to roll your shoulder a little back. So our chest is moving in the direction of the ceiling. You can see I'm not completely facing the ceiling, but we're definitely not 100% on our sides anymore. We're rolling a little bit open. That's going to help you get a little bit more into your hip flexor as well as the front of your thigh. Now, if you are not feeling this in the front of the thigh, it means you need to move the leg back. The one that you're holding on to, move that leg backwards a little bit more. Let me show you again. So I think I need to go this way so you can see. So from here, what you're going to be doing is taking a hold of that bottom right leg. And if you're not feeling it, the whole leg needs to move back. And then you're rolling it open. Some people like support under their head as well. That's another option. You could put a ball or a block underneath there. Okay, so you're still on the right side. Do your best to keep it mostly in the front of the thigh and into that hip flexor. If you're getting really too twisty on your back, if your back doesn't like it, back it off a little bit, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. A couple more breaths. Good. All right. So go ahead and roll onto your belly. And we're just going to take a few breaths here before we transition to our second side. Breathe in and breathe out. And then you'll be on your left side. The right leg comes forward. It can be supported by a block or not. The leg can be straight or it can be bent, whatever's most comfortable for you. Taking a hold of the bottom, the one that's on the ground, left leg. And then you start to roll your body open to any degree that feels okay in your back. Support your head with your own arm or a block or a pillow if you need it. If you can't reach the foot, don't be afraid to use a strap. Keep holding, keep breathing. Remember, it should be mostly front of the thigh and hip flexors, not a ridiculous amount on the lower back. We've already done some twisting work on the lower back. This is not intended to be a super twisty stretch on your back. So very gently release. And then you're going to come on to your back. And I'm going to give you a couple of options. You can pull both knees just directly into your chest, and maybe you rock side to side from there. And grab the knees or the back of the leg. Other options, you could take the feet and you could come into, we call it happy baby, like this, or more like a tadpole with your feet together, almost like a butterfly. Just an opportunity to come into a little bit of gentle flexion. Please don't get too aggressive. A little massaging of the low spine. And it's totally fine to just come here with the knees towards the chest. And then when you feel ready, go in and take a nice big breath in. And open your mouth. Let it go. And you'll start to transition into your Shavasana. So that could be traditional with the legs out and arms down alongside your body. If you need a little more support, don't be afraid to come back to this bent knee position with the feet wide and like a TP with the knees. That's very supportive for your lower back. And another big breath in, letting everything go. Soften, relax, letting go of everything, allowing your body to be totally supported, 100%, letting everything go. I invite you to stay as long as you're able, at least 5 minutes if you can. So grateful for each and every one of you. Namaste, my friends. Have a great day.